Yo, what is up, y'all? My name is Robert Donaldson, and welcome back to another edition of Rob's Best Bets. And in this episode, we are once again talking about college hoops, baby, here on November 19th, 2025. And obviously, on Tuesday, we took it on the chin. And honestly, when I come on here and I'm boastful, I'm excited about how the season's going, you know, that's great. It's great to pump up your wins, but you also got to wear it when you have those losing days. Now, if you're somebody who's complaining on social media or sending me DMs or leaving comments, and you've been part of this 12-day stretch where even after dropping 7 units on Tuesday, we're still up about 32 units over the last 12 days. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. You got unrealistic expectations. At the same time, I do know that a lot of you guys don't tail every single day. And some of you guys may have just found this channel. And I owe it to you guys to be consistent, be profitable long term. And that's what I promise to do for you guys is be profitable long term. We are going to wear it some of these nights. And on Tuesday, it just ended up being one of those nights. Some bad reads. That Kansas game was very unfortunate, obviously. That was kind of one of the big turns where Kansas was covering for more than 39 minutes in that ball game. At the very end, because of free throws, it got over the hump at 10.5. Some of you guys may have gotten lucky and caught a good number, but I certainly did not. And that is going to happen. But hey, here on Wednesday, we've got a host of bets that I feel a lot better about as well. And I'm excited to share those with you today. But first, let's go ahead and take a second to shout out today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. And if you haven't already signed up using promo code ROBDFB, I highly recommend you guys do so. But with all that being said, y'all, let's go ahead and jump into our college basketball bets here on Wednesday, November 19th. All right, first up, we are taking a look at a matchup here between Michigan and Middle Tennessee State. And obviously, this isn't the same Middle Tennessee State that back in the day was making the runs with like Simi Potts and that squad that was upsetting Michigan State in March Madness. But over the last few years with Nicholas McDevitt, they have been kind of moving on the right track again in terms of winning a lot of games. And this is a program that I think at its core and at its best can really do some damage on a national level. But McDevitt's been very polarizing because how do you gauge Middle Tennessee State? You know, do you feel like this is one of the higher mid-majors that should be very, very competitive year in and year out? Because if so, then you can probably call his tenure so far as a little bit underwhelming. But I also think you have to reset expectations in the NIL era, the transfer portal era, and I do think that he's got this program moving on the right track, even if it's a gradual sort of right track rebuild. And obviously, Michigan on the other side, a very good team. When you watch this team, there's a lot of ways that they can kill you, but I do kind of worry about them in terms of the three-point shooting, the consistency in the jumpers. I think they have the athleticism to do numbers against certain mid-majors, but Middle Tennessee State is actually one of those that I think can compete for long enough to cover some of these bigger numbers. And for that reason, I say we go ahead and we take the 28.5 points here for 2 units for our first bet here on Wednesday. For pick number 2, we are taking a look at a matchup here between Harvard and Penn State. And Tommy Amaker at Harvard has been one of the long-time kind of tenured head coaches in the sport. And he's experienced, obviously, a lot of success at Harvard, not just in the Ivy League, but when they've stepped on that national scale. Now, since the kind of turning point, and I refer to the turning point in college hoops as that COVID season because especially for the Ivy League, where they just shut down sports for an entire calendar year, you know, a lot of teams went in different directions because that also coincided with the transfer portal, with the NIL era, and a lot of these types of mid-major programs with higher academic standards have seemingly taken a little bit of a hit in terms of their talent acquisition. And I do think that when you're looking at Harvard and how they've been playing early on this season, there are those sorts of glimpses that Tommy Amaker might be kind of rebuilding from those kind of down years. And I do want to believe in this program. I do believe in him as a head coach. And although Penn State has kind of been a team that's looked really, really good and looked kind of low this season so far, I kind of want to take Harvard in this spot, catching the 12.5 points. And I say we do it for 2 units for our second bet here on Wednesday. For pick number 3, we are taking a look at a Philadelphia matchup here between Villanova and LaSalle. And when you're looking at LaSalle, obviously the kind of notable thing this season is Fran Dunphy is gone. He is retired. Technically, he's kind of still in a role at the university, but not in the head coaching capacity. And stepping into his shoes is Darius Nichols, who we really loved over the years coaching at Radford. And when you are looking at this matchup, LaSalle has kind of gotten bludgeoned by the Philadelphia or just kind of Pennsylvania-esque teams so far. And because of that, I do think that LaSalle has some bulletin board material here because Philadelphia is a very prideful city. Darius Nichols is a coach that I think as the season goes on is going to make his team better. And you be better and you get better by sort of building up a culture. And I think a good way to sort of take that leap is to compete against a big brand like a Villanova, who is a little bit banged up right now. They are getting some guys back, but at the same time, it takes a little bit of time to actually re-gel once those guys get back into the fold. And for that reason, once again, I say we go ahead and we take kind of this modest plus 11.5 here with the Explorers for 2 units for our third bet here on Wednesday. For pick number 4, we are heading out to probably the game of the night between Arizona and UConn, and this game is in Storrs, Connecticut. It's not at MSG. It's not at sort of a, quote-unquote neutral site venue that is somehow still within, 5 miles of UConn's campus. No, this is straight up in the Gampel Pavilion. And when you are looking at UConn and how they face teams in this building over the years, it does not go well for the other team. And although we faded UConn quite a bit last season, one of the things kind of rang true is that Hurley, UConn, this fan base, they are rabid and they will show up big time to this game. And although Arizona has looked very, very good in the early goings, and although I think they're a very, very good team, I think UConn laying this kind of, again, modesty type of number is 100% trying to bait people into taking the points with Arizona. And I can see some scenarios where Arizona keeps this game close, but I see a lot more scenarios where UConn blows the doors off the Wildcats in this matchup. So let's go ahead and lay the 5.5 points here for 3 units for our fourth bet here on Wednesday. For pick number 5, we are taking a look at a matchup here between UMass Lowell and Bradley. And when you're looking at Bradley, obviously over the last few seasons, Bradley has been a main staple at the very top of the Missouri Valley Conference. And this team, despite losing a lot of really talented players from last year's squad, it's catching some hype, or at least it was catching some hype coming into the season with Brian Wardle. And on the other side, UMass Lowell, this is a program that we've actually found ourselves backing quite a bit over the past 10 years. Now, recently, and in terms of really recently, this season, UMass Lowell has fallen off a cliff. And this might be one of the worst UMass Lowell teams in quite some time. And although Bradley has started 1-3 so far this season, I think that's actually buying us a little bit of a discounted value because Bradley has been losing to really good teams. UMass Lowell is not a good team. And I do feel like with Bradley at home in Carver, they have a very good chance to blow the doors off of UMass Lowell. And for that reason, I say we go ahead, we lay the 19.5, a hefty number here, for 3 units for our 5th bet here on Wednesday. For pick number 6, we are heading out to one of my favorite games on the board here on Wednesday, and it's between South Florida and Oklahoma State. And we have backed Oklahoma State at home, we have faded Oklahoma State at home, and we are 2-0 in those games involving Oklahoma State. And in this matchup here, when you're looking at South Florida, this is no pushover mid-major. And in fact, this is a team that, if everything does go right in non-con play, including, I don't know, winning this game, theoretically speaking, Brian Hodgson's bunch could really be one of those teams that sneaks in with an at-large bid, even if they don't win the American. Now, a lot of things have to break USF's way to make that come to fruition, but certainly when you watch this team play, they've got the horses on the offensive side of the ball to really make it happen. And although this is a very short line, and Gallagher-Iba is one of those arenas that can get up and get loud, I do wonder if they're going to get up and get loud on a Wednesday with Thanksgiving kind of coming up around the corner next week. And for that reason, I say we actually go ahead and we take the 4.5 points here with the Bulls for 3 units for our 6th bet here on Wednesday. All right, for our final bet here on Wednesday, we are taking a look at the second best game on the board in terms of the high major category. And this game is between Alabama and Illinois. It's labeled as a neutral site. It's not really a neutral site. It's in Chicago. The crowd is going to be with the Illini, but at the same time, this Alabama team over the years has seen some really tough spots, and they've come out victorious in some really tough spots. They've also fallen flat on their face in some really tough spots, and notably earlier this season, they lost to Purdue already. And although that L is hanging on their resume right now, sometimes I feel like when you challenge yourself early, it pays dividends next time out. And this is kind of the next time out for Alabama. Truly, it's the very next game after that Purdue loss. And although the scoring woes kind of concern me when you go on a pseudo road game in this type of spot, I do feel like Alabama is better because of that physicality that they experienced in the Purdue game. I think they'll be able to carry it over against a physical squad in Illinois. And when they're catching 3.5 points, I say we take them for 3 units for our final bet here on Wednesday. All that being said, I really want to thank you guys for checking out today's video. And if you do want to show some love, make sure you drop a like on this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And make sure you guys comment down below. But with all that being said, y'all, I will see you in a future video. Take it easy.